The atmosphere inside the television studio was electric, charged with the nervous energy of three couples and the bright hum of professional stage lights. The audience sat in anticipation, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the monitors. This was more than just a game show, it was a celebration of new beginnings, a public testament to the strange and wonderful bonds of matrimony. One of these brides held a secret that she guarded with playful tenacity, a secret involving the numbers on her birth certificate. As the cameras began to roll, the legendary theme music filled the room, and the host stepped into the spotlight with a practiced, welcoming grin. One of these brides' biggest secrets is that she loves to lie about her age. Which one is it? Well, her husband is going to find out, and so are you, because it is time to play the Newlywed game. Thank you. Hi, I am Gary Kroger, and welcome to the Newlywed game. You are going to meet three newlywed couples, and we will discover how well they know each other. The game is very simple. I ask each couple questions about one another. The correct answers earn points. The couple with the most points at the end will win an incredible second honeymoon. Gary turned his attention to the first podium, where a couple stood looking vibrant and modern. Let us meet our first couple. She is a 31-year-old music production assistant. He is a 28-year-old editor. They have been married 3 months. Say hi to Heather and John Ganziano. Welcome. Good luck. Next, he gestured to the middle podium, where a younger pair waited with bright smiles. Next, she is a 25-year-old accountant. He is a 26-year-old claims representative. They have been married 4 months. Let us meet Cheyenne and James Causey. Welcome to the show. Do well. Finally, Gary introduced the third couple, who possessed a warm, seasoned charm. Finally, she is a 36-year-old piano teacher. He is a 31-year-old construction worker. They have been married 7 months. Let us say hello to Tina and Martine Tavishan. Welcome. Good luck. Nice tie. A round of applause for all of today's couples. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Gary leaned in toward the contestants. Welcome to the show, everyone. I have already heard some maniacal laughter coming out of you, Heather. I can see we are in for some fun. I am going to start with Tina. Tina, I am going to ask you to look at Martine, who will appear on this screen. The movie I could watch over and over is... Tina, we stopped the tape there. Because for 10 points, I want you to finish Martine's sentence. Tina bit her lip, thinking of the quiet nights they spent together on the sofa. She answered with confidence. Forrest Gump. Gary nodded toward the screen. Forrest Gump. All right, let us take a look. The video played, and Martine's voice rang out clearly. Beauty and the Beast. A wave of laughter rippled through the studio. Gary looked back at the couple with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Very different movies, Martine. Yeah, I do not understand, Martine admitted, scratching the back of his neck in confusion. I do not either. I do not either, Gary chuckled, then turned his gaze toward the middle. Cheyenne, let us look at James. The screen showed James, leaning back and speaking to the camera. I have shown her a dozen times, but my wife still does not know how to. Gary paused the playback. What do you not know how to do? Cheyenne sighed, a look of mock frustration on her face. Set the videocassette recorder. Set the videocassette recorder? Gary asked. Set the videocassette recorder. What is the problem there? I have no idea, James chimed in, laughing. We just did it just last week, and she still has not got it right yet. Gary raised an eyebrow. So it is still flashing 12? Only when I am not home, James joked. Gary moved to the final couple of the round. Heather, it is your turn. Here is John. John appeared on the monitor, looking thoughtful. The strangest interruption we ever had while making love was. Heather did not hesitate, a wide grin spreading across her face. His mom calling. His mom calling? Gary repeated, surprised. Okay. The screen resumed, and John revealed his answer. The cat's watching us. They know a good thing when they see it. What can I say? Well, we are gonna flip things around now, Gary announced, the energy in the room shifting as the husbands prepared to guess for their wives. John, let us take a look at Heather. Heather was on the screen now, her expression playful. When I first met my husband, I thought he had a big. John pondered the question, his mind racing through their early days. Attitude? A big attitude? The screen played the rest of Heather's answer. Hedu. He was working this big old Fabio thing that was just god-awful. The audience roared. John looked slightly embarrassed as Heather elaborated. It was in then. It was in. He was working this living large hair. When was this? Gary asked. 2 years ago. A couple years ago. Gary clarified. Yeah. Big old kind of manner. Had the Farah thing going. It was ugly, Heather said, her eyes dancing with amusement. We can kind of see who won that battle, can we not? Gary remarked, glancing at John's much shorter hair. Let us see who wins this battle. James, here is Cheyenne. Cheyenne appeared on the screen. Judging by his previous girlfriends, my husband has a thing for women with. James took a deep breath. Wow. I am gonna say braids. The screen finished Cheyenne's sentence. Large breasts. Oh. James exclaimed, his face turning a shade of red. Okay. That too, yeah. Gary moved on to the final husband. Martine. Tina. Tina's face appeared, looking directly into the camera. My husband does the world's worst imitation of. Martine thought for a moment before answering. Al Capone. Al Capone? Gary asked. The world's worst imitation of Al Capone. The screen revealed Tina's real answer. Me. Yeah, right, Martine protested. I do that one perfect. I can do it right now. Let us see it. Honey. That is her. Yeah, right, Gary said, highly entertained. Okay. We are gonna see if Martine gets into even more trouble right after this, so stick around. The show went into a brief hiatus for the messages, and when the lights came back up, the host was sitting with Martine. Welcome back to the Newlywed game. Martine, you had quite an elaborate plan ready to propose to Tina, right? Yeah, it took me, about 6 months to make it work, Martine explained. Yeah. The basic idea was, I want to put the. She always take a coffee in the morning, so I wanted to put the ring, so she is the first thing that she finds in the morning. Flowers and chocolates. She has not had a better idea than drink a coffee the night before. You can imagine the risk, yeah. I have to call, cancel the flowers, cancel the chocolates, cancel everything, because she did not have any fun anymore. What did you finally do? Gary asked, captivated by the story. I was gonna take the ring from her, but I feel sorry, so what the hell, keep it. Yeah, you said, well, you found it now, Gary laughed. Okay, well, you said yes. Congratulations. Gary then turned to the second couple. Cheyenne, you stood James up on your first day, right? James, maybe you better tell the story. Yeah, I think I better, Gary, James began, leaning forward to share the memory. This is what happened. My wife and I, we met at college. The same day I met her, I asked her out for that night to go to a show, which was showing on campus, and she actually lived on campus, and I lived away from school. So I show up to the movie theater on campus. I am waiting out front for her, and she never showed up. Never showed up. I am waiting and waiting and waiting. She does not get there. And by the way, I walked to the school from my house 1.5 miles. Cold winter night, raining. No, it was snowing, Gary interjected playfully. Snowing. It was sleet and hail, James added with a grin. I had wild dogs chasing me, too. And wild dogs chasing you. You have some explaining to do, Gary said to Cheyenne. Cheyenne shook her head, defending herself with a smile. It was not raining. It was not snowing. No sleet. I had went there ahead of time, told some mutual friends that were supposed to meet us there that I could not show up, but they never relayed the message to him. No friends. Okay. No friends were there at all. He is really milking this story, Gary noted. He is milking this story, Cheyenne agreed. Let me finish. Let me finish, James insisted. Okay. A couple of weeks later, a mutual friend of ours, Brolio, introduced us to each other again. We ended up going out to dinner. She took me out to dinner and treated, and everything turned out just fine. Yes, it did, Cheyenne said. You like that, Gary remarked. John, you did not actually get stood up by Heather, but you got kind of a cold shoulder. Oh, if you want to call it that, John said, looking at Heather. We met through a friend of ours, a mutual friend at a party, and I thought, hey, she is kind of cute. So I asked my friend if I could get her number, and she said no, and I asked her again. She says, well, only if you do not call until I say call. So I called her anyway, and I get on the phone. I am like, hi, it is John. Yeah. Okay, good talking to you. It was basically more conversation with this couch than I did with her. Heather laughed at the memory. I was just not into the dating scene at that time. I had had it. I just wanted to work and be left alone. You needed to take your time, and it paid off, Gary said. And she came to her senses, John added warmly. She came to her senses. All right. Well, let us see if you both can come to your senses now, because you do not have any points on the board, Gary announced, looking at the scores. And this will be a good round to make your move. Now, over there, Tina and Martine, you do not have any points either. Shane and James, you are in first place. You got one right. You got 10 points. Now, here is how we are going to do it. I am going to ask each one of you a multiple choice question. Then it is going to be up to you to tell me which of the 3 answers your mate said. A match is 10 points. Heather, I am going to start with you. Heather, when you parallel park, did John say that you get it on the first try or with a few attempts or after you bump the other cars out of the way? Heather grinned mischievously. After I bump the other cars out of the way. The audience laughed. As a matter of fact, John added, he says, I am so bad at it that we have to take a cab just to get to the curb. Is it true, John? Oh, yeah, about 4 feet, John confirmed. Gary moved to the next contestant. Shane, did James say if he gives you flowers, it is because he feels guilty, because he feels romantic, or because he wants something? Because he feels romantic, Cheyenne answered softly. That is your chance, Gary said, noting the sweetness of the answer. Tina, in what department did Martine say he thinks you do not give him enough credit? Looks, brains, or sexual prowess? Oh, boy, Tina sighed. I will say looks. Gary looked at Martine. Martine, what did you say? The sexual stuff, Martine answered, causing a stir of laughter. Okay, Martine, this is your chance, Gary continued. What does Tina say you do when you go shopping with her for clothes? Do you help her pick out an outfit? Do you whine and complain? Or do you wander off into the automotive section? Martine guessed with a sigh. Of course, whine and complain. No, that is not what Tina said, Gary revealed. Tina. He wanders off into the automotive section, Tina said with a shrug. Yeah, at the mall. You will find one, Martine joked. What is an automotive section at the mall? Gary asked, confused. James. Yes, sir. Did Shane say your favorite kind of humor is physical, intellectual, or anything that involves poo-poo? James thought about their private jokes. Physical. No, Cheyenne? Gary asked. Anything that involves poo-poo, Cheyenne replied with a giggle. Jen, when Heather wants you to massage her, did she say that she has to ask you, beg you, or bribe you with sex? John smiled knowingly. That would probably be beg me. Yes. Heather shouted. A little groveling never hurt anybody, Gary quipped. No, a little groveling. And I am willing to grovel to you folks at home and say stick with us. We will be right back after this. The lights dimmed for another break. When the show resumed, the scoreboard had changed. Thanks for staying with the Newlywed game. Tina and Martine, you have yet to get on the board. Shane and James, you have got 20 points. And Heather and Jen, you have 20 points. Fellas, before the show, we had a little time with your wives, and they revealed little secrets about themselves and your relationship. Gary looked at the men, who were holding signs. Now, you are giving her a look there. As I reveal those secrets, if you think it is your wife that said that, I want you to hold up that sign that you now have in your left hand. Let us see it. You are gonna get my attention by holding it up and yelling out, "That is my wife." Great. Now, if you are right, you are gonna get 10 points. But you gotta be smart, because if you are wrong and it was not your wife, you will lose 10 points. The first one up is the only one. No, you can go negative, Martine, Gary warned. You can get negative points. All right, the first one up is the only one that can win or lose. Here is the first one. She says she cannot sleep when you are away. Martine hoisted his sign immediately. That is my wife. Yes. Congratulations, Martine, Gary announced. You are on the board. Which is not true. Anyways, Martine whispered, though he was smiling. Gary read the next secret. She has secretly thrown away clothing of yours that she does not like. John raised his sign. That is my wife. Yes, he was. Gary said. Heather. Actually, not only do I throw it away, I buy new stuff and sneak it in with his old stuff, Heather admitted. John looked at her. She thinks I do not know. But I do. But you do, Gary laughed. When her mother first met you, she did not like you. John raised his sign again. That is my wife. Yes, it was, Gary confirmed. Sean, what is not to like about John? She just thought that he was going to take me away from her, so kind of, Cheyenne explained. That is very sweet. And I did, John added. Yes, you did, Gary said. Her most embarrassing moment was when you wore her bra and underwear in front of her friends. John held up the sign. That is my wife. Yes, it was your wife, Gary said, leaning in. John, we are sort of curious about this. Maybe I should tell, Heather said, looking at her husband. I think you look anxious, too. I had some friends over to have coffee, and he was in the other room, and all of a sudden he jumped out in a pair of my thong underwear and a bra, acting like a female bodybuilder. Can I just say, John added with a shrug, there is nothing like a guy my size doing the rump shaker in a thong. The audience was in hysterics. Gary moved to the next one. She loves to lie about her age. Martine held up his sign firmly. That is my wife. Yes, it is your wife, Gary confirmed. Last time she said 21, Martine joked, looking at Tina. Indeed, a woman is prerogative, Gary noted. Sometimes she would rather watch TV than have sex. James held up his sign. That is my wife. Thank you. Thank you, Gary said to the applause. Any show in particular? No, I have to have a break sometimes, Cheyenne replied honestly. I guess so, Gary said. We are learning a lot here, are we not? The most outrageous place she ever made love was in the bathroom at a gas station. Martine raised his sign tentatively. That is my wife. The audience gasped and laughed. And it was not me, Martine added quickly. It was not me. I said, nah. Tina, what was the story there? Gary asked. I do not know. I was not there, Tina replied, her face full of mystery. You know, you just needed a fill-up and Gary trailed off. Oil change. Well, I do not know what to say to that, but stick around, because we are going to go to a commercial. We will find out when we come back which one of these couples will win that incredible second honeymoon. Up next, the Newlywed Game marches down the aisle, and these couples are bearing it all for Bob. Their souls, that is. Then on Super Password, it is all for one and words for all. Stay tuned. The final segment began with a sense of high stakes. Welcome back to the Newlywed Game. At the end of this round, one of these couples will be off on a fabulous second honeymoon. Ellen, where is our winning couple going today? The announcer is voice boomed through the speakers. Gary, today is winners are off to the Caribbean. They will spend a week at the Sinesta Beach Resort and Casino Curaçao. Traditionally Dutch colonial, yet contemporary, spacious, and comfortable. The Sinesta Beach Resort and Casino Curaçao for a great second honeymoon. Back to you, Gary. Thank you, Ellen, Gary said. Very nice. Heather and John, you have a very respectable 40 points. Shane and James, you also have that respectable 40 points. Tina and Martine, You have 30 points, and that is very respectable. Now, today we decided to do things just a little bit differently. Instead of the wives, I am going to give the husbands a couple of choices. They will be like rocket scientists or space cadet, ketchup or mustard. They are going to hold up the sign behind you that best applies to you ladies. It is then up to you to match. Now, the first one is for 10 points. It escalates all the way up to 100 points for the last one. Are you ready? For 10 points. Strawberries or bananas? Gentlemen, get those signs up quickly. Heather. Strawberries, Heather said. Good. Shane, Gary prompted. Bananas. Strawberries, she said, Gary corrected for the match. Tina. Bananas, Tina answered. Bananas. You got it, Gary said. For 20 points. Retail or discount? Shane. Discount, James held up the sign. Good. Tina. Discount, Tina guessed. Discount. Heather. Discount. Discount. Yeah. I just found my wife, John joked. For 30 points, Gary continued. Always on time or always late? Tina. Always late, Tina said. Okay. Heather. Always on time. Good. Shane. Always on time, Cheyenne answered, but James's sign said always late. All right. For 40 points. First with the news or the last to know? Heather. First with the news, Heather said confidently. Good. Shane. First with the news, Cheyenne echoed. Excellent. Tina. First with the news, Tina said, but Martine's sign read you are the last to know. 50 points, Gary announced. Loves his smile, prefers his butt. Shane. His butt, Cheyenne answered. Butt. Tina. His butt, Tina said. Again, the butt. Heather. His butt. His butt. For 60 points, Gary said, the tension mounting. Purrs like a kitten or howls like an alley cat? Tina. Purrs like a kitten, Tina answered, but Martine's sign said howls like an alley cat. Heather. Purrs like a kitten, Heather said. Yeah, you got it. Shane. Purrs like a kitten, Cheyenne added. Very good. Okay. This is for 100 points and a trip to the Caribbean. Better on bottom or terrific on top? Okay. Tina, I am going to start with you. This will give you 240 if you get it right. Better on bottom, Tina said firmly. All right. You have got 240. I am now going to go to Shane here. This would give you 310. Put you in first place. Better on bottom, Cheyenne answered. Better on bottom. Okay. You have got 310. All right. Heather. Heather, it is up to you. If you get this right, you will have 350. You will win that trip to the Caribbean. Otherwise, it is going to be Shane and James. Terrific on top, Heather said with a triumphant smile. You got it, Gary shouted. I get the first prize. They are going on a second honeymoon. I want to thank all my couples for playing. You guys were a lot of fun. I want to thank you for watching. We will see you next time right here on the Newlywed Game. Thank you. We will see you next time right here on the Newlywed Game. The credits began to crawl over the screen as the couples hugged and laughed, the joy of their new marriages shining brighter than any studio light. Heather and John celebrated their upcoming trip, while the others shared a moment of camaraderie, knowing that regardless of the score, they had already won the most important prize of all. The curtain closed on another day of laughter and love.